This is the Above Average Podcast, and you are listening because you want an above average life. Alright guys, welcome back to the Above Average Podcast, the podcast where we talk to above average people about their above average lives. Now, I'm aware it's been a little bit of time since the last episode. Lots been going on with like cancellations, holidays, and I've been starring and editing in a friend of mine's music video for the band Connection State. So that is out September 20th. The song is called Alive Inside. So if you want to see my bad acting skills, I would definitely go and check that out. So today is a rather special episode as it's the return of one of my most popular guests. It's been high in demand. We've been talking about this probably since the day after our first episode getting out. So she's quite the local legend, and since the last appearance on the show, a lot's changed in her life. So we're here today to see what she's been up to, get any more insights that she's got. So please welcome back to the show the Geordie Ice Woman herself, Miss Sarah Goldsborough. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing all right, as good as can be.
Are you excited to be back?
I am very excited.
Because we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's like, it gets to a point where I just know that now's the right time for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We've got a lot to go over today.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm pretty nervous about it, to be honest.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine, honestly. We're all here. We've got our waters, we've got our tissues, we're all good. So just to clarify, guys, there will be some sensitive subjects being covered today. So if you are, easily moved, I would maybe find you listen to this where you are not going to be disturbed and where you can, express your emotions freely. So first off, Sarah, I need to know, how are the cold water exposure therapies going? Because last time you were in, you were still doing the consecutive sea dips. You were on day 421 last time you were here. So what day are we on now?
So today we're on 939, still going consecutively.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously dipped all the way through pregnancy, after pregnancy, and I'm still very much loving every single day. I don't feel like I can stop because the universe keeps giving me situations where I need it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, last time you weren't sure whether you were going to continue. That we were kind of questioning whether you were going to keep going with it after. I think it was near your birthday, I think, and you were like, I don't know whether I'll keep going or whatever. So what's kept you going with this, and why have you continued to also document it?
So because I'm still going through the shit, a lot of shit. Obviously I started cold water therapy. Obviously you would have heard on episode 1 about obviously the miscarriages and all the life-changing events through past my 1 year anniversary of dipping. And then after my second year, obviously one part which I will disclose today in today's episode is what I didn't disclose in year 1's episode was the fact while I was going through all of my struggles and obviously everything with my girls, the losses and everything like that, I was actually trying to help and support a loved one, which was my children's dad, with his mental health battles, suicidal tendencies, addictions, which was very much quite severe. So in year 1, obviously I was, alongside everything I was going through, I really needed the sea to keep me together for my children and to try and support him in the best way that I could.
Yeah. So
when year 2 had come, obviously a lot had happened in his mental health, in terms of like he wasn't really able to see the children as much because there was a lot going on. It progressed like massively. Things were very heated. My mental health, I could feel, was like on the up. Ultimately, the ending wasn't so great. Obviously he died last year in May. So sea dipping for me has been a necessity. I've needed it. Like, I'm not on medication for my anxiety, panic attacks, depression or anything like that. I managed to come off them actually in my first year, and I just refused to go back on. So the sea is literally my medicine. It helps stabilize my moods, my mind and everything. So when I'd said in the intro that I don't feel like the universe has given me a break or a reason to stop, it literally hasn't. It's given me more reasons why I have to continue. And I think the reason why I've continued to blog my journey is because when I was documenting at the very beginning, I wanted to share my pain and my story of the struggles through my mental health, and hopefully, because I didn't know at the time if I was going to recover or how I was even going to come out, but I wanted to document that journey to hold myself accountable. I felt like if I told the world about it, I know I'm not going to let myself down.
Yeah, it's like a public accountability then, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And then I think the more as my journeys went on, obviously it was inspiring a lot of people. I get messages all the time how, you know, other people have changed their life because of my story, or it's impacted them to go get help with recovery for mental health or addictions and stuff like that. And I see the changes in other people, and I'm continuously getting these messages, and it's just, it really fills me up knowing that actually just through being vulnerable and allowing myself to share my pain and just showing up regardless every single day, like the impact it is having on others. And I think obviously I've never experienced grief like I have done with the loss of my children's dad. And I just feel like if my story can help another even manage, I mean, to be honest, I'm still figuring it all out myself.
I think it's a long road, and I think no one would expect you to be okay with it. But I think what really surprised me was, I think I'd just seen you, for anyone that hasn't seen episode 1, obviously, we talked a lot about what made Sarah want to start running in the sea, because for a lot of people it looks mental, right? The sea's like free, like we're not in Cyprus or Greece, do you know what I mean? It's literally freezing 90% of the time. So what surprised me was just how, like, obviously I think I'd seen an advert or someone had shared something, you wanted people to come in with you, and I think it was an event, and I was like, this looks like an interesting guest. I just started the podcast, and when I invited you on, I had no idea how well that episode would do and how many people would come forward and be like, really resonated with her story, you know, inspiring. Like, so many people came forward, and I was just like, don't tell me this. Sarah needs to hear this. You know? I'm glad you like the episode, and I'm glad you think my interviewing skills are good, but tell Sarah this, because all those messages really sort of make a difference. Have you, what sort of message are you receiving at the minute? Is it sort of calmed down now that you've been doing it a long time, or do you just get more now? No,
so I mean, it goes again just through little stages and stuff like that. What I found like a kind of a pattern. I find I get the messages probably at the time where I really probably need it, just to give us that little bit of courage and strength to keep it going. So, like, for example, around, obviously not many people obviously knew my story, like part of the story where I was helping obviously the children's dad with his mental health. That was a massive strain, and there was times where I would feel sort of okay myself, but while I'm around that and obviously seeing my children be massively affected by obviously that prior to his death, there was stages where I would just crumble, and like I'd be like, oh my god, like what, like I did, you know, when you just feel so lost, like you don't know how you want to help, but you can't help. Like I would just go through little episodes where I was really down inside myself, and I would question, like, oh, like, is it even worth it? Do I just go back to the doctors and get prescribed something? And then it would be around that time where I'm having a bit of a mental breakdown myself, where I would just even get that one message from somebody, and it would be like, oh, your journey's inspired me to keep going. I was on the edge of suicide. Obviously, it was watching your story that's made us go and seek help and stuff like that. And that is what kept me going. So it's like another form of medicine for me. That, like, just hearing that actually what I am doing, like, people are watching and it is helping them, whether I'm hearing it or not all of the time. That's fine. I get it, because I am documenting every day. Do you know what I mean? So you're not going to get their messages every single day, but I found that the messages are coming in where I'm at a very low point in myself, and it's just sort of picking me up to think, actually, it's just a reminder. I know why I'm doing it. I'll keep going.
It's funny, because when we're in our lowest point and we think that, like, we want help, the thing that actually makes us feel better is helping other people. And that sounds mental, because it's such a hard thing to do when you're in a shit place, to go, I'm going to go and help people, because you think, I'm not in a place to help anyone. But the fact that you've kept this journey up, you've showed people this entire journey, there's people who are constantly finding you, learning about you, like, who is this crazy woman running into the sea and getting hit by waves and stuff. Like, it's all about, I think, the fact that you can inspire these people will make you, like, there's just something incredible about being able to help people while you're in a shit place that just keeps you your head above water, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I love water.
Keep your head above water,
But Yeah, it is. It's so true.
Yeah, I love mic drop moment. I can't remember our mic drop moment from last time. I'm really struggling around. We'll have to go back and watch it.
It was at the very end.
Was it the very end? Did we say something profound? We're going to have to end on something profound as well. But one thing I'm massive on is consistency. Now, I know, obviously, you are at this point the queen of consistency, right? You've done something for 900 odd days, probably more times than anyone's done, you know, a lot in their life. Because people start things like the gym or a diet or something, you know, and they give up within a week, 2 weeks, a month, right? How have you managed to keep that mindset of consistency? Like, what advice do you have for someone who just seems to quit everything that they do?
I think you've just got to connect to the real reason why you want to do it and why you want to change in the first place. Without that emotional, what do you call it?
Like attachment to it, maybe?
Yeah. So you've got to have that emotional attachment to the reason why you're doing what you're doing in any way. So obviously at the start of my journey, obviously the reason why I got into the sea in the first place is because I needed to try and save myself. I was literally on my last legs here. Like, I was crumbled with anxiety, depression, just went through my second miscarriage, questioning everything about me. You know, it's horrible, but I could feel the anxiety like trickling over my body, and obviously the butterflies across my chest and stuff. I honestly thought, like, if I don't do something now, this is like, I'm scared of what will happen. And at this point, obviously, the children's dad was at his worst as well. So actually my motivation to get myself better was actually, you know what, I don't know how this is going to go. So I need to save myself, because I don't know who my children can then depend on if something happened to me. And at that moment, obviously, me and obviously the children's dad weren't together for obvious reasons. He was sort of on the process for recovery and stuff like that, and getting all the help that he needed professionally. But it was my job to try and stay strong for the girls, because obviously they had been through so much trauma and witnessed a lot at home, that their mental health were massively affected. So for me, how my journey had started was I just had that real emotional connection to why I had to save myself. And ultimately it was for my children.
It's always other people.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always other people.
And also, though, in the back of my mind, I thought, there's no way on this earth I'm going out like that. Absolutely fucking not.
The stubbornness
you know what
of that.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is not, I haven't been and worked my backside off in life, been through all these traumatic events and overcome them. I am not getting and going out like this. Not through this story. This is not the end of me. I've got more people to support and inspire, and obviously I want to be raising my children to be the best they can be as well, to give them the best upbringing. So that was like another driver. So
I love that. I'm not going out like this.
No, absolutely not. Nah, like, because you know when you just, like, so when I was in my darkest place, I just knew deep inside, like, I've got so much more left to give. It was just unfortunate that my mental health made us actually brought us right back down to start from scratch. But I always think the universe is always preparing you for something, and I can see now actually for like my journey actually, I am very like intuitive and stuff like that and spiritual, so I like to try and see the positive out of everything, even though actually the things that I go through sometimes is not so positive, but there is always a reason behind it. And I honestly think that prior to the death of my children's dad, I honestly believe, and even my mental health crash and me coping with it alone, it was all preparation to gear me up and make me strong enough mentally to be able to now go through what I'm going through with the loss. Because obviously I'm not just having to be strong for me, I'm raising 3 girls now without a father. Which,
I'm just gonna say, just come ever so slightly closer. Yep. Sorry, you can pull in a little bit. I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. But again with the consistency, I just want to harp on this because I love that you are the queen of consistency. You are all over my TikTok. You are all over my reels. I cannot escape the Geordie Ice Woman, right? And one thing that I love is that you, even if, because obviously you don't spend how long do you spend in the sea at a time? Roughly?
I mean, At the minute, I can stay in there for 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
But obviously, winter months, I was pregnant. So we're talking like in winter, about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of them things that people think that if they can't give 100% of the time, that it's not worth it. Why bother? Like, even if you only went in for 2-3 minutes, just to get that going,
absolutely.
it's worth it. And I think people just quit because they feel like they can't. Well, I can't go today because I'm busy. Go the next day. It's like we have this big thing in the gym is like people don't start on Monday. Like we'll get someone on the phone and it'll be like, I don't know, Tuesday night, and it's like, well, we can start you on Wednesday night if you want to come. And like, oh, we'll start on Monday. I'm like, bro, you got the rest of the week. Like just start. Like Monday is not a magical day to restart. Just do the next day, the next day, the next one.
I think with me as well. Like so when I started. I mean, I can't remember what day it was exactly. It definitely wasn't a Monday. But I found that actually, when I'd started, I was so bad mental health wise.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know I was going to be here the next day. Do you know what I mean? So you have to use that motive. If you want to help yourself, you've got to just find that inner strength. You're not going to like it. I didn't like going in the sea that first day. You're not going to like anything about it. It's going to make you feel so uncomfortable. But it's you got to find that self-discipline. You've got to make that start, because tomorrow you might lack that motivation, the drive. You might not be fully connected to the reason why you want to do it. So for me, I had to make that move there and then. Like as soon as I announced that that's what I was going to do, I was at the sea like 20 minutes later in there. And you've just got to keep using that self-discipline to get you there. And not every day I enjoy it. There was still times where I didn't want to turn up and stuff like that, but again, I'm just so connected to the end goal, to the growth and for the recovery of not just me, but obviously my girls as well. I
would say it's not even the discipline that you have now. I think the discipline will get you started, but I think what you've got now is inspiration. I feel like because a lot of people don't have the motivation, and they say, well, I'm not disciplined, I'm not motivated. Well, what can you be? You can be inspired.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're at now, is you're inspired to do these things. Yes, it's a discipline. Yes, it's a habit now. Yeah, but you are inspired. The way you speak about it that's a passion. That's an inspiration. It's not just, well, I go to the gym because I have to and I'm disciplined to do it. It's like, no, I'm inspired to do this, you know?
Yeah. But in the beginning, it was very much, I have to do this. I didn't want to do it. I had to do it.
Yeah.
In order for change to take place, you have to do what's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, it's
a weird place to be, isn't it?
It really is.
It is, yeah. Well, I mean, so our last episode was probably one of the most emotional ones. Everyone's always commenting on like how emotional that episode is. And I think we openly discussed the miscarriages that you'd been through and all that situation, and obviously how traumatic it was. But last time we spoke about it as well, I think it was a few months after that I had Craig on. The Geordie running man. Is he the Geordie running man? Is that right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that family Brandon. I love it. And I basically cornered him because he didn't know that I knew that you were pregnant at the time, and I basically cornered him, and I was like, "Do you have an announcement for me?" And he was like, "Maybe. Is it the fact that we're pregnant?" I was like, "Yes, it is. I know, and I've known this whole time." It's like an hour into the interview as well. Obviously, you went on to have a beautiful baby girl called Ocean. What a name. I love it. Was it hard to decide on that name?
No, not at all. Not for me.
Was it just straight away?
It wasn't. Well, we had a couple of different ideas, but I just think it just felt
right. Well,
absolutely.
You are the Geordie Ice woman. Yeah, it makes sense.
I think just the whole, obviously, because so from the moment I was pregnant, so she actually helped me through.
That's okay. If we talk about, we'll talk about all that stuff afterwards. If we talk about Ocean first, yeah.
But like, so for Ocean, like she was dipping with me in the sea. For one of the hardest times of my entire life, to be honest. And even it was, I don't know, like the sea obviously massively helps me in every way, shape or form and stuff like that. But I think with Ocean, it was not only was she sharing this journey with me and helping me show up every single day, especially during that time, but she was my second rainbow baby as well after the miscarriages.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just feel like.
Well, she was basically sea dipping before she was even born, which is what I love.
Yeah, well, exactly. I feel like she's the little miracle girl that I always kind of wanted, and I think it was a bit like a reward from the universe for the things that I've kind of like been through and overcome.
Yeah.
But to share that with her, it just made total sense, because I think without the ocean, I wouldn't even be here saying this today. So her name is like very spiritual.
Quite poetic in a way as well,
deep
isn't
meaningful. It shows strength, resilience, all the things that basically what I've had to implement in my journey to get myself fit and well after the miscarriages, in order to prepare my body to carry full term a baby again. So it's a name of transformation and renewal and reborn, isn't it?
So I'm just curious, because obviously with everything that you've been through, the miscarriages stuff, did you go to a doctor to say, can I take my baby bump into the sea? Is this safe? Because obviously there must have been a lot of worry in your head. I'd imagine that you can go through this again. Like, where's your head at with that? How did you do anything different?
No, I didn't do anything different. It's quite I've never shared this with anyone because I think I'm still kind of processing everything in my head in any way, because it's one thing being pregnant after 2 miscarriages and all the worry and everything that goes with that. Like, when I just found out I was pregnant, it was 2 days before my children's dad had died. So before that, I was worried, thinking, oh my God, like, am I even going to be able to carry full term? Like, is it going to be like another miscarriage? And then I was like, just over analysing everything. And then I was thinking, is the cold water going to be affecting it? But then I didn't get time straight away to go see a doctor, just because life happens. And I was in them 2 days. I had like a day event thing with the big group at a waterfall. It wasn't really something I was wanting to ask, because as well, when I found out I was pregnant, I knew I must have been about 5 or 6 weeks. I hadn't experienced anything in the 5 weeks when I've been carrying. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
To make us think that it was going to be harmful. And then obviously on the 28th of May, obviously I got the news that the children's dad had died. All my worries about baby, being pregnant, everything like that, gone.
I can't believe it was 2 days afterwards.
Literally 2 days after.
That is a roller coaster of emotion for anyone.
Very, very hard. Finding out I'm pregnant is one thing, and it was obviously it's great news. I'm over the moon.
Yeah.
But with that, I've had 2 miscarriages, and it's any man might be able to relate if you've had a loss or miscarriage. Carrying is so hard and so stressful in itself. But then to lose someone that I'd shared 18 years of my life with, my children's dad, while I'm pregnant, knowing that actually I'm not allowed to be stressed, because that can cause, obviously too much of that can cause a miscarriage. And then obviously my cold water therapy, I couldn't stop my cold water therapy now. Like,
that's when you need it the most.
Hell no, so yeah, and eventually though, obviously when it was like, obviously after the loss and stuff like that, I was so overwhelmed with anxiety, stress. My panic attacks were back a little bit, just so overwhelmed with all of the massive change. It wasn't anything anyone was expecting. I did go to the midwife. Obviously I explained, obviously I'm in the sea every day, explaining obviously all the emotions and everything that I was feeling.
Yeah.
Obviously because the midwives were saying, you're not allowed to be stressed.
Cause just don't be stressed. Yeah, it's easy. No worries.
But then obviously the sea obviously can put stress on your body as well.
Yeah.
But they were really, really good. So I worked with them all the way through my pregnancy, obviously because I was working with the doctor through my mental health and how I was feeling in any way. But no, so the baby isn't affected by the cold or anything like that. And because I'd been dipping for so long, obviously my body was used to the initial shock response from the sea. So
yeah, well, it's like going to the gym. They say you can train before and during you're pregnant, but don't start while you're pregnant, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly the case, how it would have been for me. So if I'd never done cold water therapy and I just found out I'm pregnant and I wanted to start, the midwives would recommend not waiting. But because I had done it consecutively, I knew the dangers and stuff like that. It was just about taking extra precautions while I was doing it. So obviously when I'd found out, so it was like, it was in May, so we just got over the winter, so we were coming into like the warmer months in anyway. So it was just about taking extra precautions when I'm coming out. The way it can affect the baby is actually the aftercare bit. So warming your body back up, because that's when your body is working its hardest to warm your body back up. So that's so that's the most crucial time when you're actually in the water. The baby's surrounded by that. Oh my god, something fluid. I can never say it.
I don't know. I don't have a word.
So, you know what I mean?
Do you know what? I know the word, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's just fluid. Let's just call it fluid. It's baby fluid, baby juice.
I know how to. Yeah. I just can't say it for some reason.
It's the fluid. Someone's in the comments going, "It's this, you fools!"
It's the air fluid.
Yeah, the air fluid. There we go, the air fluid. Yeah.
So basically, the baby is surrounded by that fluid that is keeping her
nice, warm, healthy.
Yeah. So when I'm in the sea, she's not feeling how cold it is.
Yeah.
Because I was worried about that more when it come to over the Christmas time, because I was heavily pregnant. I was just about to pop, and there was a few times when I was in the ice bath at home. I ended up having to get an ice bath because there was a few incidents where I thought, oh my god, like I didn't know if I was going to make it up the ramp at colour coats because of the twinges and stuff like that. I thought, don't want to give birth here.
Yeah. I mean, as funny as you know, true to form as that would be to give birth by the sea. Do you know
I mean, that would have been an experience.
If it was in the sea, I'd be just like, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I invested in an ice bath at home, and oh my god, I can't wait for that this year, like, because I'm not pregnant. But when I was pregnant, obviously the ice bath is a lot colder than the sea.
Yes.
An incredible amount colder. Like, oh my god.
Is that why you have toys in to make it easier? So you like rubble ducks and stuff.
Us, and obviously because I was pregnant, I couldn't really like do all the things that I would usually do, like my little hair flick or whatever, just to keep just to keep myself moving, so that I'm like, if I keep myself moving even in the sea, it just takes my mind off how cold it is and stuff. But
an ice bath, you can't really move, can you? You're kind of trapped in this little box.
Yeah, but obviously with a bump as well, I couldn't really do it, and there was a few times I had to break the ice and stuff like that, and
you've seen the blocks of ice floating on top in the morning. I'm like, oh my god.
But yeah, I absolutely loved that part of the journey. Like, I just can't wait to experience that without being pregnant as well.
What is the biggest difference, do you think, apart from the temperature, between the mindset you have to take into the sea and the mindset you have to take into a cold bath?
So I think with the ice bath, obviously it's a lot more cold, but I feel like it's more challenging for me. So at the minute, sea dipping,
piece of piss.
Absolutely. Like don't even think about it. I can just walk in, run in, dive straight in and stuff like that. Even in the winter, I don't think I've ever experienced the cold like I have in that ice bath when I was pregnant. That was challenging, but that is where I got the most growth. That was building me up for the mental strength really that I'd needed in any way to go then obviously through with the birth and stuff like that. All the worries there,
because I hear a lot of people saying they want to try the ice therapy but they're scared. I'm like, start with the sea is probably best, right? Because then you just jump straight out, right? If you drop into an ice bath, there's a lot of like it just catches you, like you just want to,
you've got to lower yourself in.
I can't even lower myself into a pool on holiday, man. I'm like, it gets to like just before, you know, the private part, and I'm just like, oh, you know what I mean? My voice raises a few octaves, you know, because it's just, I'm just, but that's like, that's a pool, you know, like
so for me, I struggle with a cold shower in the house. Like no thank you,
they're not nice.
Tickling, I'm better off just either lowering myself down, or in the sea I'm better off just running and jumping in.
Just straight in,
no messing about, because I think the more you're walking in, it feels a lot harder mentally, because then while you're walking in, you're trying to talk yourself to like, just stuff. I'll just do it another day, try again.
I think is it Mel Robbins who has that 5-second thing where she's like, she counts herself down, because she was famous. I think her book's called that, like the 5 seconds or something, I can't remember, but it was something like she trained her brain to stop shutting down on things. So she would be like, if she knows she catches herself not wanting to do something like get out of bed or, you know, take the cold shower, whatever, and she'll go 5, 4, 3, to, and then she has to, like, she's just trained herself to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, you will just talk yourself
Yeah,
out of
you
it straight away.
Yeah.
Like, I even I struggle with that. I don't like getting up in the morning. I'm not a morning
Yeah.
person, Sarah. I'm not a morning person. And I'm just like, 5, 4, something like. Do you know what's funny? I get out of bed really weird. I don't know how normal people get out of bed, right? But like, I obviously sleep right on the edge of the bed, and I'm just like, my legs will go over first. My head's still on the pillow, and then my head's the last thing to get up. Everything, I'll sort of like peel myself up and swing my head up. That's the last thing that gets up. I don't know why I do it. I just do it, but yeah. So in terms of do you think that you're going to take Ocean into the sea? Like, what age is she allowed to be in the cold water?
I've dipped our little toes in. But yeah, I still personally just think she's a bit too young, for our body to deal with them extreme temperatures and like regulating back. I don't want to push that at all.
Yeah, and you know that if you post that on TikTok, people are going, "This is baby torture, and this is child abuse." And it's not. It's fine.
No,
she's gonna be fine. She's gonna be a little blue baby. It's fine.
Oh, I hope she lives to the sea. Imagine if she doesn't.
She's just gonna have to just get rid. She's gonna have to be like, bye bye.
Yeah,
you can't be a child of the Geordie Ice Woman and not like the sea. It's true.
I think they will. I mean, my elder daughters, they don't like going to the beach, but I think it's just because I'm there every day.
Yeah,
but
they're sick of it now.
Yeah. Bridie, she comes in the sea with us, so she loves it. Like, but it's something that's very therapeutic, and it's good for children to be around the sea air, nature and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully she'll like it.
Yeah, hope so. Fingers crossed. So I do want to talk about, obviously, we're not naming names, right? We're not saying as.
I mean.
We'll say you Yeah, we'll say your child's dad. We'll just keep his name out of it, just for. Yeah. So after you find that news, that were you on the beach that morning when you found out, or
no? So it was actually about 3:30 in the morning when I'd found out.
Wow.
So actually, I'm gonna tell the story from the day before. Actually.
Go for it. Yeah.
So the day before, obviously, wasn't expecting. Obviously, well, I don't know what's gonna come. Do you know what I mean? So it was just a normal day. Obviously, the children's dad's got my youngest, Bridie, and she'd slept over. As far as I know, everything was kind of fine. I had a message just to ask if she could stay another night. Of course, absolutely, loves her dad. Not ever gonna come in the way of that. And obviously, I had a waterfall trip with obviously a group of the sea dippers that I was dipping with a lot at the time. Actually, I think I'd done about 3 months consecutive with this group of people that obviously I'm still friends with most of them today. So yeah, I was on a waterfall trip, obviously pregnant, obviously just sort of processing that news in myself as well. Everything about that day was fine. And I remember one of the dippers, Daniel, a good friend of mine, we were just talking and I remember turning to him and I just kind of said, like, obviously, yeah, life's good, got this going on. Obviously, didn't tell anyone I was pregnant then. But I remember turning to him and saying, but I just feel like something big is coming and I don't know what. And I remember saying it's making us feel a little bit uneasy. It wasn't as if, obviously because you can't predict the future, it just didn't intuitively in my gut was telling us my life's going a little bit too good at the minute. I knew something big was coming, but I didn't really know what. And I just remember, just expressing that to him, and we were talking about it a little bit, and I was just, it just feels a bit like eerie. So obviously, I had a brilliant waterfall day, probably one of the best days, not realising that was the last day before my life changed forever. So 3:30 in the morning, I got a call off his mum. I didn't answer it in time, but I just thought, like, it's a bit early. I didn't know if there was something wrong with Bridie or something, so I rang straight back, and she just said that obviously she had some really bad news. And when I just feel like everything was moving so slow. I don't know if it's just because I just woke up, but then obviously I'm in my head I'm thinking, well, what's the matter? Like, is Bridie all right? And then she just said, he's obviously died. He's dead. Was her exact words. He's dead. And then I'm just like, so I think I paused for a minute. The tears were already streaming. But yeah, I was just like, so where's Bridie? And so that's why they wanted us to obviously go. I had to go and get Bridie, because obviously the police were already like on the way, the ambulance and everything. Obviously my daughter shares a bed with her dad, obviously a big double bed and stuff like that. So in my head, I was obviously just taking in the news as I was in the car driving. I can't even remember the journey there. Obviously my elder two was still asleep, so I just left them asleep. Because I didn't know at this point when I was in the car how much Bridie had been exposed to. Did she know? Was she awake? Or anything like that. All I knew was that I had to go get her and bring her to mine. So I remember going in, obviously, like seeing his mum, obviously had a good cry and stuff like that. Obviously he was still there, but obviously he was in the bathroom. He actually died in the bath. Which
can I ask what it was? Like what?
So obviously his heart just failed. It has come to light that obviously it is due to his and stuff like that. So when I'd got there, obviously Laura had asked if I wanted to see him. I didn't want to see him like that. For one. So another thing with me is I've always grown up, had a massive fear about funerals, death. I could never really picture myself going to see someone that had died. I would avoid it at all costs, not because I don't love the individual if I knew them or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, there was just this massive
It preserves
fear.
that memory as well, though, doesn't it? Because that's the last time you see them.
And it is. I don't like saying goodbye, and because I'd shared like all that with him.
Sorry. You can take a break at any time you need to, by the way.
And I think as well, part of us didn't really want to believe that this was all kind of happening. Maybe part of us was kind of still in denial on the way there. It was like, because it was all a big rush, I had to quickly go. Obviously Bridie was still asleep. So obviously I woke her up, just saying, we're going to have to go home. But obviously the ambulance men and that were already in the house and stuff like that. And she was asking kind of like what was going on. I just had to say, Dad's got to go to hospital. Because I didn't really know. I suppose in that situation you don't really know what to say. You just want to.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell all three girls together. So I went and got her. Obviously, brought her back to mine. She went straight to bed. Obviously, I couldn't. They went back to sleep. Bridie went back to sleep. And then I couldn't sleep because then I was just a mess. I actually put her to bed once she went to sleep. I went and sat in the car. I couldn't even be in the house. I remember trying to ring my sister. And I just felt so overwhelmed with my emotions and just thinking like, how am I going to tell the girls?
Yeah.
I honestly just didn't think I had what it took to tell the girls. Obviously the dad had died through the night. It's no news you want to tell like any child that just lost their dad. And I went in the rooms 3 or 4 times just watching them sleep. I just couldn't do it because I just thought the moment you wake up, like,
you want to give them that bit of peace beforehand.
Everything changes from the moment I wake them up. And obviously I was just a mess. I went into absolute panic. I felt like me anxiety was I was having like a panic attack. And then I thought, right, I need to go sort myself out. So I actually just went and done my dip. I thought the only thing that I needed, well, I don't even know if I needed it. I just knew I needed something to stabilise my head. Yeah. Because there was that much going on. All the emotions, like my emotions, but then it was the fear of telling the girls and knowing that there's nothing that I can do to help what happens next for them. Yeah. So I remember just driving to the sea. I think I even forgot my flip-flop. I think I went in like one shoe. But I remember I filmed just a little bit and I did put it on TikTok. Just obviously because again, it's about holding yourself accountable.
Well, the thing is, at that moment, that's probably the one thing that you could control as well, that you knew was comforting, and that's your thing.
So I didn't actually post that video until this year on my other platforms
Mm-hmm.
as one of the hardest days, because I did get a lot of people asking, like, eventually as time had progressed, like how I managed to get up and still go and dip on that day.
Yeah.
So I decided to share that this year. But yeah, I just remember, like, I mean, yeah, I went and done my dip, and it was, it did absolutely fuck all for us that day. Apart from, yeah, okay, I was wet.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't, you know, obviously, what it did do, though, in terms of the mind, it just brought us back to the here and now. It brought us back to, actually, right, get rid of all the scramble and all them voices in your head saying, right, do it this way, do it that way. There is no right way.
Yeah.
So what I had to do was just bring everything back down to a calm state and just gather myself up in order to then go home and get the girls out of bed and tell them.
Yeah.
And yeah, so obviously.
So how did you go about how did you go about telling them that?
With absolute great difficulty. Again, I went home. I was in and out. I was shaking, man, like proper shaking. Obviously, my partner had just went back to Scotland because he works away.
Yeah.
So I had like no one really here to like help us do that. Obviously, my sister, when I'd rang her in the car, she was on her way down. But I knew deep down I wanted to do it just me telling them. I didn't need like an audience or anything like that. I felt like it was just a very personal thing because I didn't know how they were going to be. I just remember going in the rooms countless of times, just watching them sleep and just thinking, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. But then as I know, like, the time's coming, time's moving on quickly now. I didn't know if any of his family were going to share the news or anything, and I didn't want them. Obviously, my older two are on social media.
Yeah.
They don't use it, but they're on. I just didn't want them to get an update of somebody else without me saying it. So,
yeah.
I was just waking them up. I said, "Oh, could you just all come in my room?" Obviously, teenagers being teenagers, like, "Oh no, how it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, Mum, are you having a laugh?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously, by this point, like, I was crying though, so they knew something was wrong, and I just kind of got them all together, and I just had to say, obviously, you know, your dad's not been well for some time now, and I just had to say it, like, he's died tonight. I can't remember the exact words and phrases, but that would have definitely been along them lines. Just, yeah, and then that was the start of everything to come after. Just the most horrific day. And you know, them, obviously I've heard people say, you know, grief gets easier. Absolute full of shit. Like, I'm still waiting for that day for it to feel easier. I know everyone does it in different deals with it in different ways and stuff like that, but for me, I find it incredibly difficult to process my own feelings of the loss, but then I'm managing 3 broken hearts, managing the loss of their dad, and everything that comes with that. It's not just, you know, he's gone and that's it, it's all forgotten. It's every birthday, every song, every Father's Day, like Christmas, Easter, Halloween, like just all the little things, like him popping in the room or like seeing them, taking them. It's everything.
Yeah. What's been there? Obviously, how long has it been since that? Has it been?
So he passed away 28th of May last year.
So it's been over a year.
Yeah.
Do they still like ask questions about it? Do you like, what kind of conversations are you having? Do you bring it up, or is it sort of?
So I always talk about him. Always, I think, because it helps me as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was a massive part of my life, and although we kind of weren't together in his, obviously near the end, I was still very much helping him with his mental health and trying to support him in any way, shape or form that I could. We were still friends. And I think, obviously, just to keep mentioning him and just to keep his spirit very much alive. Like, I don't want them to think that as well, because I am, obviously, was in a new relationship. I didn't want them to think that because I'm in a new relationship, we're just going to forget about Dad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's important.
and I don't want to forget either. So yeah, we're just, obviously they still play songs and everything like that. I got them little necklaces with Dad on and some of his ashes. But yeah, it's just really hard. The older two obviously get counselling. My second oldest gets counselling at school. The school was so supportive. My eldest obviously is massively struggling herself with mental health.
Yeah.
Probably because of that, and before, obviously they were exposed to a lot, which is probably like it is the reason why I had to end the relationship with her dad.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't love him, it's what they were being exposed to at mine.
Yeah.
That, and obviously I had a medical emergency with, and it was from that moment I had to love him but kind of leave him to the professionals. I now had to focus solely on my girls, because at that age as well, being teenagers in itself, being exposed to everything that they were, like all the crisis teams, mental health hospitals, the cycles that he would go through when he's like in pain and stuff like that, like all of that, like, there's so much depth to it. But obviously I'm not going to go into everything, it doesn't need to be said, but yeah, it's had detrimental effects, especially at the minute for my she hasn't actually left the house for like 5 or 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean she's getting there. She's been obviously being supported herself, from obviously myself, obviously the crisis team, doctor, and stuff like that. Obviously she's now suffering with anxiety. My second oldest has got anxiety as well. But yeah, I mean, she's it's hard, isn't it? Because you get good days, but then you're gonna get your bad ones. And obviously, at the minute, obviously, I would like to think she's coming out of the other side of being in the house. Obviously, she's going for walks and stuff. Even that is a massive.
It's a small.
Massive,
it's a win.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you've got to respect the fact at the time when our dad died, she was actually sitting at GCSEs, and she'd still went and sat every single one. And our grades were like the highest GCSE grade, like the second distinction thing, like so top grades. And like I think, but maybe it's, you know, when you're holding on to that much grief, you do tend to focus, a bit like me, when we go through stress or something very emotional, we tend to just try and keep ourselves busy, don't we? Like,
I think it's the best thing for it,
into something else. Obviously, whereas my youngest, with that age, obviously she was 6, they're very resilient in any way. But yeah, so obviously through obviously the death and obviously my cold water, like when I say the universe literally hasn't given us a reason to not go in the sea, it's just give us more reasons why I have to go.
Well, this is one thing I'm curious about, because I had Tracy Holmes on here probably last year, and her brother was caught up in something in Spain, I think it was. I can't remember the exact situation, but basically he died. He fell over a balcony, and they don't know whether there was foul play or whatever. But when she found out and stuff, and she still came to train, and I remember her family was saying, how can you get up and go training? Like, do you not care, kind of thing? Like, and she was saying, well, what else can I do? Do you want me to just sit and cry about it? I'm just curious, were you scared during that time that because you were still doing, you know, you still got your tripod out, you're still going in the sea, you're still keeping this up, were you scared that people were going to say, well, do you not care, are you not bothered, are you not phased? Like, did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, and I think I had that actually off one member of his family.
They said that, they came across and said that too?
So, well, I seem happy enough. I was laughing the next day or something like that, And I think, obviously, I'm not bothered what people think. At the end of the day, whatever I go through, I'm managing the best I can. People, obviously, going back to what you said earlier on about cold water therapy, some people just think you're crazy going in the sea. Some people just do not get. I think when people see me with a tripod, they think, she absolutely loves herself. Oh my God, it's just another one of these wannabe influencers, blah, 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 blah. They don't actually realise or take the time to understand actually what I've actually been through and what I'm trying to survive on the other end. It's not that I want to just go put on a bikini and blah, 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 go flaunt about on the beach and stuff. Yeah, do that, because I'm so confident in myself. And part of being confident is not giving a fuck what other people think. If I gave a shit about what other people think, I would be an emotional mess. I would probably be overweight, wouldn't want to go to the gym, wouldn't want to socialise. I'd be inside myself. I'd be stuck in a depressive state. But I remember as well, so around that time, especially obviously, so on that day that he died, obviously I dipped alone, for obvious reasons. The day after, obviously I was just going to dip on my own again, but actually it was my best friend, Stacey. Absolutely love that bitch, who's my rock through this stage. And I think part of me, obviously, I don't know if you noticed, I'd stopped it with the bigger group from after that waterfall trip, because I don't like to grieve in public like that. I don't want to transfer my energy and my upset onto other people, and I don't want people to feel like they've got to be a certain way because I'm standing there crying.
There's all that, like, is she okay? Like, they treat you differently.
I just didn't want any of that. I'm better off dealing with stuff like that on my own. So the reason why I go into the sea, and it's not at all because I love myself or it's for the likes or the comments, I couldn't give a shit about any of that. I go in the sea because I need to survive every day. I go in the sea to make myself strong enough and well enough to raise 3 children still without the dad. I go there to stop me going on medication or something happening to me. And I think the day after, when I went with Stacey, I pre-warned her. I said, listen, Stacey, I don't even want to talk. I don't want to like say anything. And I says, there's gonna be tears. I says, I don't need a hug. I don't want to be made a big fuss of. I says, I'll probably be talking and then crying, or talking and crying together. I says, I need you to just, if you want to come and support us, just be there. Don't just basically just like kind of like
just watch me go through it. Just
I know, because she was joining us in the sea. Do you know what I mean? But then
I won't meant like watch you go through just the emotions. like just turn around. Is she crying? Okay, that's cool. No worries.
And I think, to be fair, I think she cried with us. I think this is the power of cold water therapy and what people don't understand. So when I'm posting on social media, people get to see a 60-second clip of my 24-hour day. So it's not like when I'm in the water, like obviously the next day in the video, I was probably splashing and smiling, because that's what the water does. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I can't even explain the relief, just like where all the tension off my shoulders, my chest and everything was just, it was like a weight had been lifted. I'm not happy about the circumstances. I'm actually in the sea to forget all of that for the time I'm in the sea. And that's the power of the sea.
It's that moment, isn't it?
Yeah, that moment where actually, oh my God, I can breathe. And then obviously Stacey, being the great friend she is, knows that just obviously I like to make the best of the moment when I'm in the sea. Whether that's if I'm going through something so serious or anything like that. It's important to be around them people that you know, like, and trust on a deep level, so that actually, you know, if you share a little bit of a laugh, we can share a bit of a laugh. And actually there was a feather that was, I think that's why we just shared a moment of like a bit of joy, because although I had lost obviously a big part of me, it was also a bit of a relief knowing he's no longer in pain. So when we saw that feather, obviously I was an emotional wreck, cried all the way in, most of the majority in the sea. I saw that feather and I think Stacey had said, like, what do you think you'd be saying now? I says, well, I'd be fucking laughing for a start, seeing the state I'm in, like coming in the sea and just being all morbid, do you know what I mean? But then you're going to get like that, aren't you? Like with such a big loss. So yes, probably might have seen a glimmer of a smile come from me in that 60-second clip. They didn't see the rest of the 24-hour day, and I think I had a couple of remarks off that, and I just thought, you know what, it's coming from people that didn't even bother in any way. They don't know me. They didn't want to try and get to know me. They didn't know, actually, in fact, they didn't even reach out to see how the girls were. So that's the place it was coming from. So I thought, well, actually, I'm not bothered what you think. Think what you want, because they've already judged everything about me in any way, my new relationship, and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't matter what I say or how I want to justify it, or if I want to just give my story. They're not interested, because they've already prejudged everything.
Everyone wants to have a say. I hate those moments where something bad's happened and then people just come out the woodwork and you're like, where were you? Like, you know, you just want the gossip, you want the drama, you want to make sure that you're included. And I'm like, get lost. Like if someone, say I haven't spoke to a friend or someone that I know for ages, and I see them put on Facebook like something terrible's happened, like they've lost a parent or something like that, you know, I don't go straight in the messages like, what happened? You know what I mean? I might, you know, give them a little heart or something just to acknowledge it more or less. Sometimes I don't even do that because I feel like it's not always like, I don't need to be involved in that. Like, that's something you're going through. It doesn't need to be, I don't need to be part of it. But I think there's some people that need to be a part of everything, every little thing, like, just to have a say.
I think the people that feel like they need to be a part of it, I think what isn't fair is sitting on the sidelines and judging someone by a 60-second clip. Without getting to know the person, the background and their side of the story of what really happened.
Well, welcome. I'm in the same boat. Everyone, I get loads of comments on my YouTube things like, what a load of shit. And I'm like, you didn't say this. And I'm like, there's an hour and a half to this. You've watched 34 seconds on YouTube and you think you understand the full context. Go watch the hour and a half.
They'll watch like a 60-second clip and they'll think they know you inside out. And it's like, oh my God. Like,
it's like
if
judging
only you seen the rest of my day.
Yeah, it's like judging a film by a trailer. It's like you get an idea, but you don't get the full picture. It's crazy.
I mean, and the place where it was coming from, actually, just to put it into context, obviously when my older daughter's going through the whole mental health crisis herself, I'm still waiting for that message. How's doing?
Yeah. Knock on.
Like, says they were going to make it a priority when they got back from wherever to check in.
Where's that message? Yeah.
Like, God. So that's just putting it into context where some of the hate comes from.
Yeah. Is there anything else, before we sort of move on from this topic, is there anything else that you feel you need to say or you want to get off your chest about everything that's happened there?
I think just, obviously, because I know, obviously, when you experience a death in any family, I never really understood when people say like everything changed, like the whole family dynamic changes or people's true colours really come to light when someone dies in the family. I never really understood that until this. And it made us actually realise part of his family, only one side of his family, have no idea of, and actually maybe it's his friends and the people that have judged me or anything like that, or sitting on the sidelines thinking, well, do you know what I mean? They haven't actually ever asked or want, like, not that people need to know, but what my point is there's always two sides of the story. So what you think you know, you don't know. And I think it's just being very respectful of the fact that obviously we've just experienced an significant loss that has changed our lives. And if I want to share my story of what happened and obviously the experience me and my girls witnessed before the run up to that, the death, I will share that without people trying to silence us. Because one thing I'm not is a liar. I'll only ever tell my story exactly the way it was and the way it impacted me and my girls and everything. And I think if you can't understand that or you take offence to that, then there's something going on over there that they need to look at within themselves. And maybe there is a bit of guilt there that actually maybe they should have been there for us a little bit more during the years I was in a relationship with them. Because I don't know if anyone can relate, but living with someone with significant addictions and stuff like that and things he was involved with, like, it's hard. I mean, really hard. But I stayed because I loved him. And I loved him with all of my entire being. but it just come to a point where actually when I had that medical emergency with one of my daughters, I knew I had to love him, but let him go to the professionals, unfortunately. So I just think there's always two sides to the story, and I will not be silenced in sharing my side of the story.
Mic drop.
Boom.
If we had a mic to drop, we would drop it. Yeah. So I want to move on to something that I heard about you. Actually, I heard a rumor through the grapevine. So I wonder if you can clarify this. So I heard that you were in Durham and you flooded a pub.
I flooded a pub.
You somehow flooded a pub, yes, or you flooded the ceiling of a pub.
Nah, I think you might have to ask my partner.
Can you confirm or deny these rumors?
I'm gonna. No, I'm not. No, the bath overfilled, and we didn't. No, we didn't flood. Brody. He's gonna get it when I get in.
Love it. Yeah. I don't know the context of the story. He just mentioned that, and we'll go from there. So
no, it was. Do you know what though? That the townhouse, honestly, unreal. I would definitely recommend people go and pay a visit there. I've never known a townhouse to be so quirky, where every single room is different. I just think
you're thinking of this in your head. You're like, the bastard.
I know. I just think a top tip is just to just a little sign to say don't overfill the bath.
Don't overfill the bath. Yeah. Was there much damage?
Nah, no.
It was okay.
No,
it was all
everything
good.
was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Actually, it was us that got an apology.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
oh well, fair enough. I was gonna say I was like damaging property and stuff.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not that place. God, that's like with second or third visit. But no, we got an apology, and obviously we've got a bit of a discount off for next day.
Oh, nice, fantastic. Pass that discount on to friends and family. Yeah. So I want to talk a bit about what we spoke about before, which was the idea of people seeing you in a bikini all the time. Because if you look down your Instagram, it's bikini.
Yeah.
So we spoke briefly last time about the confidence it took you to wear this. Now, obviously, you must get comments about like the love yourself and stuff, as we've explained. So how do you think, in your own sort of personal experience and what you've spoke to other women about, that a woman can become more confident in her body to be able to put herself out there, even on content as well? Like, just to be able to be herself more authentically. Like, what's your sort of advice and tips for that?
I think in order to become more confident, you've got to really do the inner work on yourself and learn to love yourself. And I think we shared a little bit about this on the last podcast, didn't we? Like, when people, you would hear them cause, she loves herself. Well, yes, I do. Because for one, I've survived a lot. My body, everyone's body is unique and different. And I think it's understanding that your body is unique to you, and it's lived a life untold as well. It's been through experiences, traumatic events. Maybe you were bullied at school, or you've been in fights. Maybe you've got scars, cellulite. For me, I've obviously given 4 births naturally.
Yeah. So
all of this, my body has been through a tremendous amount. Am I going to be affected if someone says, she loves herself? In the beginning, before, obviously, when I was younger, maybe in like on the run up to adult years, so like my younger years, I probably was very self-conscious of my body and how I looked. But then I was going through such a turmoil at home as well. Like my upbringing, my childhood was very unpleasant. When I first got into a relationship, obviously, I experienced a lot of trauma and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like my body has experienced so much. Yeah. And I think you only get to live in one body, so why wouldn't you love and respect it? And it was actually cold water therapy that made me realize that actually, you know what, I am what I am, and fuck it what anyone else thinks. And I think part of my journey in the beginning especially, so obviously I just had my second miscarriage, my body was obviously in recovery, but I did have a bit of a bump, so I wasn't body confident at all at the beginning of my journey. If you're brave enough to do the full scroll on Facebook, because that's where all of my journey is. Instagram I only started I think like last year or something like that. But if you're brave enough to go right through my Facebook to find the first 30 days, 40 days of my journey, I'm in full costumes. I haven't got the greatest figure or anything like that. But I think as well, when I was going through that trauma and stuff like that, and I was going down to the beach in a full costume, that is the last thing on my mind about what other people thought. Do you know what I mean? Because in my mind, like, I didn't even know if I was going to make it through that night, that day. I was just trying to survive to get us through another day. So when I'm in the water, oh my God, anyone could look at us weird. They could have been throwing any amounts of hate at us or whatever. Like, I'm not bothered. And actually, the more I did it, cold water therapy, and that's the beauty of the power of cold water therapy. It does boost your confidence. Yeah. Because when you're in the sea, you're not only healing, but you're discovering different parts of you that maybe you've suppressed, and it'll open a lot up from the past as well. Like, oh my God, like, yeah. And so I've done lots of growth and therapy work, and I mean, God, I'm always doing personal development on myself. Yeah. Of like, oh my God, why did I think that about my body when it's the only body I get to love and be in? I'm only here once, so I've got to love and respect it. And I think it got to a point after, I think I could be wrong, but after like the first 10 days, I started feeling a little bit more confident. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put a bikini on. And that, so I'm going to just say that moment. That moment when I thought, when I put the bikini on, I felt sick because it was the thought of, like, not necessarily being in a bikini, but it was the thought of like, oh my God, so I was dipping with a couple of people, like, what are they going to think? I've gone from dipping in a full costume to now dipping in a bikini. And then it was, so it's natural. I think it's natural to feel the feelings that you do when you want to start becoming confident. But again, in order to feel confident, you've got to put yourself out there. If you want to start wearing a bikini, don't wait for that summer holiday or for when you lose 20 pounds or whatever weight that you want to lose. Don't wait for the goal. You have to be doing it now. If you want the confidence, do it now, because you've got to go through the uncomfortable phase to become, like, authentically confidence. And to know and really start loving your body for the whole story that it is. And how can somebody judge your body when they don't actually know the full story, what that body's been through? And I think as soon as I started, like, really learning that within myself, couldn't give a shit what people thought about me. They can think that, but I know the way that I'm showing up is because of the growth, and everything that I've been through has led me to that point, to feel proud and confident in my body and all it's been.
Well, that's the thing. There's like there's two main types of confidence, right? There's situational confidence and there's core confidence, right? So most people have what you call situational confidence, or at least some sort of competence, right? So it's like someone who's really confident in their job. They know what they're doing. When you get them in that circle of people, for example, they're like top dog. They know everything. You put them somewhere completely new and they just shut down. There's like no... They don't know how to respond to the situation because they didn't have that inner core confidence. But I can put you in the sea, I can put you probably in front of an audience, I can put you on a podcast, and you're the same person, which shows to me that, like, that inner core confidence is real. You know what I mean? It's not a fake at front. It's not like, well, I'm fine here, I'll stay in my little bubble. It's like, I can move into anywhere and I can still be me.
I think and that comes with the growth that I've experienced. The mental
I actually noticed something about you when I was researching for the second time, because I wanted to make sure that
you were doing your research.
I was doing my research. I was sat there scrolling through. It sounds really weird to sound like scrolling through photos and stuff.
I get it.
But I noticed something. So obviously on Facebook you have a tagged photo section and then the photos that you've uploaded. And I noticed that the tag photos, I think when everyone went through a phase of tagging themselves in photos, right? Because my photos end after a certain year of being tagged in, and then everything's just uploaded.
Is the tagged ones what other people have
tagged you in? Yeah. Oh, right, but okay. I think these photos were uploaded by you because a lot of them were from what I noticed was a higher angle. It was taken from above you, so it was kind of like down on you, so you couldn't see a lot of below. Right. But it was more just on your face or whatever you were holding, right? And then when I went on to the photos that you've uploaded recently, they're very much more open. They're from different angles. You look happier. There's a difference between these older photos of you that were taken from that angle and then these new photos. Now, it could just be because you've got better behind the camera. Who knows? But I think I noticed that level of confidence change from just taking pictures of, like, because you see it when people take pictures of just sort of head and shoulders up. I think there's a lack of, they don't like what's below. So that I can completely relate to that. And I think obviously in the start of my journey and stuff, obviously, like I said, I wasn't confident at all. I was so destroyed internally and externally
obviously my figure wasn't how I would have wanted it, blah blah blah, just been through so much trauma. And I think obviously that's why I was showing up in full arsed costumes and stuff like that. And yeah, like I can remember, like obviously when you do a selfie, you only ever want your top off, and it's a confidence thing. Didn't like how I was down here, but I think what brought me out of that as well is when you are dipping with other people, and when I was overcoming that fear of how I felt in my own body. Obviously you don't think about it too much when you're in the sea because nobody gives a shit. Nobody's looking at you. When you're getting changed, your eye contact should be on the person you're talking to. You're not going to be, if someone's talking to you and they're looking at you up and down like that, then obviously we've got an issue because then they are prejudging and doing all that. But my experience is that obviously when you're getting changed and stuff, you're looking conversations, nobody's bothered. Like everyone just is there, all there for the same reason. It might all be different reasons, but everyone is there to get something from that sea that they need to carry them through that day. For me, it was a survival mechanism. And for all those ladies that obviously might not feel as confident and are bigger or even like obviously underweight or whatever, but they just want to start loving their bodies, they've just got to start doing the things that they want to do but are too scared to do. So that means putting a bikini on, putting your thong on and getting in that sea. Go do it. Because nobody's looking, and it's hard really actually, because I was going to say nobody's really looking at you and judging you, but people judge all the bloody time. But I think when you're in a good environment with good people and dipping with people with the right reasons as well, then it's you feel safe enough to do that. Well,
what you got to remember as well is when people, because I'll be walking like down Northumberland Street and I'll just catch someone staring at me, and I'm like, pop my brain's like, I hope they watch the podcast, you know. But then the other part of my brain's like instantly goes to what's wrong with it? Have I got something on my face or whatever? But people just look and then forget instantly. Because how many times have you walked down the street, looked at someone, and went, oh, quite a nice top, actually, I like that for myself, and then your brain goes elsewhere, you know.
Exactly.
But you forget that other people do what you do as well. You just look, you make an assessment, not necessarily a judgment. It's just you come up with a thought and then you move on. That's like most people. Like, I remember I made a video about this years ago, and I said I always try to reframe people staring at me from like they're judging me to maybe they like something I'm wearing. Maybe they think I'm attractive, which isn't, it sounds like an ego thing, right? It's not. It's a reframe that helps. Because it's not everyone's out to get me mindset. It's not a victim mindset. It's maybe it's the staring because they want to wear this, but maybe they're uncomfortable. You know, like in the sea, someone walks past the beach with a dog in full gear and get up of like big woolen coat and whatever, you know, and they see you in a bikini, they're staring at you, and you can either go, they think I'm weird for wearing a bikini or whatever, or you can go, maybe they wish they could do this, and I'd love people help them.
I think that's a good point. It's not, I think in terms of becoming body confident and people staring and stuff like that, it's not even about what you're wearing. Sometimes if you're putting on a bikini and you're just about heading to the North Sea, people are like, oh my, I can't believe she's wearing a bikini and going in the bloody freezing cold temperature.
You might be staring out of respect.
Exactly. Or they might just be like in awe of actually what you're doing, because although it is very popular, I mean, some of the beaches that I've been going to recently, they're still like, you hardly see anyone on them, to be quite honest. One of my favourite ones in any way, up near Ashington, every time I go on, there's hardly anyone there. So it's like, people are probably just watching and thinking, gosh, she's crazy. Like, you see kids and that running in and having a good paddle, but it's not very often really you see the adults joining in and dipping in the cold sea as well.
Well, for me, I kind of feel like you led the movement for a while in my head, at least, because then I started seeing more and more people doing it after I spoke to you last time, and I was like, I wonder if the Geordie Ice woman's like leading the charge, like she's got all these people are doing it because of her, kind of thing. That's kind of what goes on in my head. I don't know whether it's true, but in my head, I like to think that's the story behind it. So, but so I've also seen you. You've been promoting a lot of stuff recently in the business side of things. I don't know too much about it. Is it pharmacy, or is that something? Pharmacy. Sorry. Collagen, coffee, and things like that. There's different things. So tell me about that area of life. Where'd that come from?
So obviously, if you watch the third.
Have we done a third episode? The third episode came out before the second. Who would have known that?
So in the first episode, obviously, we talked very much about obviously business in the network marketing industry and stuff like that. And obviously, I didn't know back then whether I was ever going to step foot in that door again. But I think after, obviously, I had Ocean, I mean, I've never even said any of this, but when Ocean was 3 weeks old, I went and, like, obviously went on an online course for mental health. So while I'm going through everything and the loss in, obviously, my daughter's mental health, my mental health and everything like that, I decides, despite getting up for all the night feeds and stuff like that, I thought, you know what, I'm going to commit myself to a course. That was only like 15 weeks, but then obviously it was diving into every single mental health problem.
Wow.
The solutions, like obviously treatments and stuff like that, like so really in depth, and obviously the history behind each mental health category and stuff like that. And I just found when I was doing that and learning about that, it was all about expanding my mind, because I'm a type of person that I love to grow. I like to equip myself with relevant skills. Obviously I am a counsellor as well, and a youth worker, obviously prior to business and stuff like that. And I think it was the motivation to just want to, I know I can't work at the minute because obviously I'm on maternity as well, and obviously I'm helping my girls with their mental health. That's most important for me at the minute. But it was part of me that struggled after having us. Like, it was like I didn't want to be just a mum. It was back to like I feel like I was doing everything for everyone, and I started feeling like I was losing a little bit of my identity again. I know I've got the cold water therapy, but that isn't really like a hobby for me. That's medicine for me. So so I'd obviously invested in the course just to see how we do and stuff like that. Passed it, obviously flying colours. Absolute stressful. Obviously it was though. No sleep, working through the night doing that, and then it got to the end of that, completed it, and then I was like, right, well, like what now? Like I always feel like I need to be doing something for me to make me feel like I'm Sarah, not mum, not partner,
not like, Geordie Ice Woman.
Not Geordie Ice Woman. Yeah, like I need something now, like for me to give me pleasure outside of the partner life, working life, mum life, and all of that brings. So obviously I was looking at the company. Obviously it's and do you know what it is? One thing that I do like about that company is it's like 70-year-old. Like it's like a strong, stable company that's cash rich and debt free. And what highlighted it to me was it's brand new in the UK. So my past success in network marketing with the previous company was that was new in the UK. And obviously when something's launching brand new, obviously there's massive amounts of potential if that is the line of work that you want to go down. And for me, I just see a way where I can work from home around Ocean and my girls. I don't have to worry about the 9 to 5 or getting childcare and stuff like that. I just wanted something to fit around me, work it around my cold water, the girls and everything, and just dibble dabble back into it to see actually is it for me. So obviously when I'd purchased my box, I was trying out some samples just in this beautiful box. That again, the presentation of that box, I only paid $19.99, but in that you're getting all the samples of like the skincare and stuff like that. And I'm not even a skincare person or a makeup person. I'm the Geordie Ice Woman. I rock up. I'm always just in either BB cream and mascara. That's me done. So, but I fell in love with the products, and I'd noticed they did like a weight loss coffee, a chicory coffee, which has got other benefits. And what highlighted that one to me is it actually reduces stress and anxiety. Okay. And obviously I've suffered with that for, like since I was about 17, I think.
Which is strange because normally coffee is
exactly
boosts anxiety, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But no, so this, honestly, like even like my partner absolutely loves it, and he feels more calmer and stuff and that. So I've worked with a company before with coffee, like a weight loss coffee. So I knew if I liked it, that I can go on to recommend it.
Yeah, because you don't want to start selling things and recommending things that taste like ass, do you? You know what I mean? You want to like yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll only ever promote something that I know and like myself. Yeah. That I can give a genuine
but then it's authentic,
testimonial on. So I fell in love with the coffee. So when it suppresses your appetite as well, which is I was always so part of obviously when I've been doing like the night feeds and my course and stuff like that. I ended up at a very low point again in terms like just mental health wise, not because of my cold water therapy, but I think it's because the lack of sleep feeling fatigued and tired all the time. And when I was going through that, I would usually go and pick up a snack, and it wouldn't be a healthy snack either. But that's just me feeding my anxiety of how I was feeling. So I developed some bad habits. So I really just wanted to correct that.
Yeah.
So I was trying the coffee, and then obviously the shots, L-carnitine shots, if that's how you pronounce it. So I thought I'll try them, because I've also worked with a product similar to that in my previous company, and that was the best seller in my previous company. That's what got us to 1.6 million sales.
Yeah. What's just to name
like
drop 1.6 million, just in case you know. I think that was how we started the last episode as well. I think the title of the last episode is like 1.6 million.
Yeah.
So but what's in the shot? What?
So it's obviously it's a natural product. There's no caffeine in it at all.
Right.
But there's 1,500 milligrams of L-carnitine. So obviously sports people, athletes, obviously are using it in any way, but obviously with other companies or whatever. But what I loved about this product was, so obviously I can't get to the gym and I can't go for a run when I want. I would love to do it more, but I just can't, because body works away forever. It feels like sometimes. So I can only do it as and when. So I really was just looking for something to help with my fatigue and my energy, but I won't have anything for energy, and I won't take any supplements that will trigger my anxiety, or as soon as I get that feeling across my chest, I can't take it because it's not worth it. And actually with my past company, I couldn't really use one of their products because of that very reason, because what it was doing to my chest. So I started it, and honestly, like, so for me, the product itself, that one didn't kick in for me until around, I think it was day 4, day 5, and I started going for a run on a night time. So bear in mind, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning with Ocean as our last feed. I'm up from then, dealing with the kids all day, everything that brings. I'm not going for a run until 8:30, 9 at night. So that's probably the last thing I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when it's been hot all day as well and it's all clammy and stuff. So I'd heard that obviously if you have this product 30 minutes before exercise, it'll do you wonders. So obviously before my runs, I was taking this product for 4 or 5 days, I think it was, and I'd noticed my energy was improving, but it was a natural energy, no crashes, no jitters.
Yeah, it was like pre-workout tingle face kind of.
You know what? It didn't even feel like I'd taken anything. That's what I love about it. It just felt like I could do more through the day, and it wasn't affecting my sleep or any way, shape or form. So then when I was going for these runs, I ran my first run without stopping.
Nice. How 2
so
minutes down the road?
No, like, so when I'd actually done an 11k kilometre run.
Nice.
Without stopping. I ran from my house thinking I was only going to do a 5k. I ended up in Blythe. I did, like,
why would you want to end up in Blythe?
I don't know.
No offense to anyone in Blythe, but sort it out.
No, but so that was like the start of it, and I was only really on the coffee then. But as the L-carnitine's getting into my system, and I think that's the thing, I think people expect immediate results straight away, and I suppose you are going to get the fat loss side of it, because it can support fat loss. It turns your fat into energy. Do you know what I mean? And if you're obviously a little bit bigger, of course you're going to drop the fat quicker than what the likes of what I would or my partner would. But if you're an athlete, obviously it takes time to like get in your system to see the benefits in your performance. So that's how I promote it, because that's what I've noticed within myself. So after my first run, it was only a 5 kilometre run, but I did that without stopping. And when I was running, it felt effortless. So usually I would start to feel like my heart rate like really creep up, and I could feel the tightness on my chest, so I would have to slow it back down. I felt like the whole run was completely effortless, that actually I could have went further, but I chose not to because I had to get back.
You got to run backwards as well.
But so then the next day, so after that I thought, so I wanted to make sure that wasn't a fluke. So the next day, my legs were absolutely fine. So I went on another run, and I think it was like a 6 kilometre run. Again, everything about it was just so effortless. Obviously, you can still feel yourself pushing and working hard, but everything about the stamina, the endurance and everything like that, I was seeing massive improvements. And bear in mind, so 8:30 at 9 at night, I'm doing this run. Half an hour before that, I'm having my shot. So one of my worries was, after this run, am I going to be able to go to sleep?
Yeah, am I just going to be sat staring at the ceiling?
Twitching. But no, didn't affect it at all,
nice.
at all.
Well, it's hence the natural energy as well.
So then the next day, I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to do another run tomorrow, because surely I would need to rest my legs or anything like that. Honest to God, nothing. Like, my legs were in perfect shape. But that's one of the benefits of the shot. Like, it is known for the fast recovery for sports. So that's why sports, like athletes and, you know, the marathon runners and stuff like that, that's why people like that use them as a great tool for, like, races, or the Great North Run, for example. People that are wanting to chase the PBs and stuff like that. Like, this is the product to be on.
I think even if you're not an athlete, you should have some sort of for the last 10 years, I'm not an athlete, but for the last 10 years, every day without fail, maybe I've missed one day here or there, but religiously for 10 years I've taken 5 supplements every morning, and probably for the last 6 years I've taken creatine, and I don't miss it. But it's one of them things that, like, I don't necessarily feel any results from it anymore, but I know if I stop, I'm going to be fucked. But in the beginning, it takes a while before, like, fish oils or magnesium or vitamin D to kick in. But it's like, people don't see the benefits of taking some long term if they don't feel immediately massive effects. But it's like, if you get it in your system, you keep it there, it's going to help you long term.
Massively does. But even, like, for the stay-at-home mum, like myself as well, you know, obviously you're running around after the kids 24/7. You do start to flag, and obviously you reach for the coffee in the morning, don't you? But obviously the coffee you're going for is probably the Nescafe, give you jitters. You know, that comes with crashes. But with me, just all I've done is I've found a business and an opportunity where I can recommend natural products to other people with the products that I'm already using. But these ones are natural. Some of them are clinically proven, and they do a lot more than what they say they're going to do on the package. So if you think, like what you've just said just there, you're taking about 5 supplements every morning. How about if I put one product in front of you that would replace all of them 5 supplements? Would you take it?
Probably.
And it's affordable. It's not expensive.
Yeah. Well, it saves 5 pills down there. It looks a bit dodgy in the morning. I'm like, get my pills. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so it's just...
And it'd be easier to go through customs at the airport as well. What's all these bags of pills? I promise it's not illegal.
But yeah, it's honestly so as I've tried the product, that was the most important step. And actually, it wasn't until I had the results of my running performance, that was the moment I knew I need to run with this business, because I saw the potential it could do. And I'm very much just taking it at my own pace, in my own lane, because I am starting from scratch. You know, my past success is exactly that. It's past. I know what I'm capable of, but this time... You got
to build it back up again, right?
Yeah, so I built a business with the old me. I'm a complete different person in the 2 years transformation that I've had in cold water to now. So I know that I'm running things authentically and hopefully can help a lot of people, like the stay-at-home mum that just wants to, you know, work from home for like an income to supplement childcare costs. Or maybe you running a gym, and I do have a few gyms interested at the minute to stock the product because they sell obviously numerous stuff. But this one product could be so powerful in gyms as well. And that's what I mean. It's boosting other businesses.
Do you think you'd ever use your personal brand for that? Like you'd have like Geordie Ice baths and Geordie Ice like supplements. Do you think you'd ever like go down the own brand route, or are you comfortable under another roof?
Yeah, I have thought about it. But so it's a hard one, right? Because I love the idea of it. But if I start branding and selling stuff through Geordie Ice Woman, then my cold water therapy is going to feel like a job, and that's not what I'm here for.
I suppose. Well, I suppose it would depend, because if obviously you're selling these ice baths and stuff, like, or they're just going to wherever, is that going to affect you going in the sea and stuff like that? Do you think it's gonna? Would it actually affect that?
What?
Like, obviously taking it away from you and making it more of a job than a hobby. If you're selling these things under a brand, is it not just building that brand, or do you see it more as taking away from the brand?
No, so I think. So if we take away Geordie Ice Woman and we'll just have me, Sarah. So if I'm, obviously, it's weird because cold water therapy is where I go to switch off, to help my mental health. It's not a job. If there's products attached to that job, like to that.
You think it's going to take away from, fair enough,
I feel like then I don't want my cold water therapy to feel like it. It's
I suppose then,
weird.
because
It's
you've
a
then
weird
got to keep
mindset.
it up, I suppose, the ice thing, because then I know what you mean. I can understand that.
I think so. The cold water therapy, I do believe that'll be with me forever now until I die.
Yeah.
Like I'll always do that. I think that isn't me making any claims that
she's gonna do it forever. This is look into the camera. 83 years old in a Zimmer frame going into the sea.
Yeah, so I think just selling products under Jodie Ice Woman or anything like that, though, I think it's a mindset thing for me.
Yeah,
I would associate the products now with my cold water therapy as a job.
Yeah,
and that isn't what.
Keep it separate.
I want it. I don't want that to feel like a job at all.
No, I like that. So obviously we've come to an hour and a half now. So we're at the time. I know, it's flown by. So this question was not in my repertoire last time you were here. So I've introduced this question to the last sort of 5-6 guests or something like that. And I'm excited to put a compilation together of this question. So it's not it's fine. I'm not going to ask you to go too deep, but you can answer this in any way you want. And I'm always interested in people's response. So I'm going to let you talk. So the question is, do you consider yourself a success? Now you can have a second to think about that and I'll just rub it on. But in terms of whatever you consider to be successful, this is personal to you. You don't have to compare it to anyone else that you know. Just, do you consider yourself a success?
Yeah.
Now, I've had some people that have given me the answer that I was probably expecting, and some that have completely surprised me and said, no, I don't. So it's entirely up to you how you want to answer it.
Yeah. I see myself as a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here living and breathing. And for me, I'm winning.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I've overcome many challenges in life, childhood, early adult years, to now, and I'm still going, and not being offended by what other people think, say, or do. I honestly feel like I'm a huge success, and I think that is obviously the genuine confidence that I've got in myself to overcome anything else in the future. And I think it's just basically all how I feel for that. It's just come through a lot of growth and trauma and overcoming obstacles and stuff like that. And you know what? Success for me isn't money. It's not money. It's the internal stuff. It's the things that are really, really important. And the things that we worry about, in everyday things, the way we look and stuff like that, mate.
Trivial.
It's so minor. You need to start looking within and start appreciating every little thing that you are doing in each day and getting through it. There's people out there battling mental health, not even knowing if they're going to make it to the end of today. So when they get to the end of today and they wake up tomorrow morning and have them feelings, they are a huge success because they've just once said they didn't know how they were going to get through the day and they've just bloody done it. So why are you not congratulating yourself and actually seeing that as huge growth and success for that next day? So it's about using that kind of motivation and power and moving through life confidently. And you're going to get roadblocks. You're going to get things that come into your path. But hello, this is what life's all about. It's about growth and overcoming things and preparing you for that next level of success. That's what I'm probably scared of, that next level, because I know everything that you go through in life, it's preparing you for that next phase, that next level. So if you're sitting there in your house and you're thinking, you know what, I would just love to have my own podcast studio, where you're bringing in celebrities and it's cool. You want to be number one, millions of subscribers. If you're sitting at home thinking that's how you want life to be and stuff like that, without the action and going through the painful stuff first, you are not going to get to that level of success. And I think as well, it's just acknowledging the fact that life is a journey, and the things that life throw at you, these challenges and setbacks, because they're not always going to be nice, they're going to be pretty brutal, and it's going to include some loss. All of those little baby steps is all part of the universe gearing you up to become that person that you said you wanted. If you're not ready for that level of success that you've just said, you're going to crumble. The universe doesn't want that for you. They only want the best for you. So it gears you up in the right, authentic way, so that when you get to that level of success, you're going to keep it and grow from it. So I can relate that actually back to my past success. Obviously, I know the company had went down, but if we look at it on an internal frame, the reason why it all crumbled for me internally and why I crumbled wasn't just the fact that I was so burnt out. I didn't have any business boundaries. I wasn't aligned with the company. And that path isn't the route that I was always destined to take. The universe comes in and steers you and gives you new opportunities to take. Ones that are so unexpected. Like, I didn't expect to come here and do episode 2. Like, when I was doing episode 1, I didn't know you wanted to have us back. Do you know what I mean? But the universe has brought me back here for a reason. And that's to probably help me elevate to get to my next level.
I feel like this episode's been quite cathartic for you. I think you needed to get a lot off your chest for this.
Yeah.
But I can see the difference because I went back and watched a lot of the clips from our previous episode, and you can see the level of energy and passion in you has definitely risen.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot more like openness to. Obviously, you're not saying you were closed off last time, but like there's a lot more.
I was holding a lot in.
A
lot in, even on the last one, because obviously I was going through a lot that I didn't feel appropriate to expose.
Yeah. But now you feel like you've reached that level where you can.
Yeah. I mean, let's just put it into perspective. I've had 3 days before coming here crying and like really channeling my true feelings about the events and the loss and everything like that. Like, so it has, like, this is what I mean. This podcast is more than just a podcast for me. This is part of my healing, to actually sit down and recognize the loss that I've experienced, but where we are as a family now, moving forward to the future, while carrying the loss as well.
Yeah.
And I think, like, it's going to be a long road, but it's a one that I know I'm strong enough to do.
Yeah, definitely. Mic drop moment right there.
Whoosh! Yes, sir! Passes that gun.
There's not a legit gun. Sarah's obsessed with, if you follow me on Instagram, which I hope you do if you're listening, at Adam James Proud. When I film a lot of my day job is I've got this like sort of handle thing that puts the camera on to stop it wobbling, and I had a photo shoot done with Luke and then Chris Harrison, who takes the photos, and he was like, we're in this big ring thing, it's the eye in South Shields, and I stood in the middle, and I was like, I feel like James Bond with me going. He was like, we'll get a photo of that, and I was like pointing at the camera and stuff. It's brilliant. So
as soon as I seen that, I was like, I need a shot.
you replied to it like, I need that gun. I was like, are you okay? I
was like, oh my god, that's the picture. That's the money shot.
It's only like 20 quid on Amazon as well. You can pick it up dead cheap. It probably you could take it in the sea as well because it'd help you But listen, Sarah, I hope that this episode has been what you wanted it to be. I hope that you've got a lot off your chest, and I know people listening are like, I had so many messages after the first episode of like about your journey and stuff, and I'm really excited to see what people say about this pot that they haven't heard about, that they haven't seen. And be nice, guys, right? Be nice, because I've had a few comments lately about a few guests on. I'm like, just shut the fuck up. So I'm getting that stage now, like you said, you get challenges, you get the haters, you get people coming in. So,
it's all
but I'm
part
glad.
of the journey.
Yeah, I love people that comment on my stuff like, what an absolute waffle. I'm like, there's an hour and a half of this, and I send them the link underneath. I'm like, watch it all.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, it's been great having you back for a second episode. I know we've talked about this for probably like since the day after the last one, but I feel like now is the time, like you said, where this is a good time for you to speak about also.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that in a year's time, if we do episode 3, I just hope that like going forward, you come back with a lot more of the, obviously there's a lot that's happened in your life that's good and positive. I'm not trying to push that away, but obviously coming in and what you've been through over the last year, I hope that next time you come in, there's a lot more
good.
Obviously I know there's gonna be a lot more growth, but I just hope that like things are, epic for yourself.
Yeah,
so.
I hope that too.
So where can people follow your journey? Where can people find these products as well? Where is the best place to find you?
So the best place is probably Facebook. I'm Sarah Louise on there, but if you put in the search Jodie Icewoman, my account will come up. TikTok, I'm on Jodie Icewoman. Instagram, Jodie Icewoman. In terms of products and the business opportunity, just reach out anywhere and I'll drop you a message. I do also have an exclusive group on Facebook with everything business, everything products, all info, everything that you need in one hub basically. So if anyone wants added, just drop me a message and I'll add you straight away. Yeah,
absolutely amazing. Well, thank you very much for being here once again, Sarah. Guys, please leave that 5-star review, because we've got a lot more listens lately. We're massively pushing it. I've been texting everyone asking for reviews, and it's massively pushed the podcast to a brand new audience. So please, it does really help put us in the more of a spotlight for other people listening. So please follow Sarah, follow myself, and please give us that 5-star reviews, and we will see you in the next
After the
episode.
break.
After the break. Part 3 comes.
Sorry.
Do you want to do the outro? Do you want to do the outro?
Yeah, I thought I was on telly there. Like, just doing it
We'll see you after the
this.
short break. And then there's like intro music and we'll pretend to talk while we shuffle
Yeah.
papers and
Adam's
stuff.
going to do the weather now.
And now for the weather. It's sunny and cold at the same time. It's great.
Yeah.
But no, guys, we will see you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for listening.
Brilliant. Thank you.